Now, we will come to the next modern value with reference to Buddhism, that is the what Buddhist thinkers say on Marxism. Modern Buddhist thinkers have been generally opposed to capitalism, and some of them have been favorable to Marxism. The Dalai Lama and Thich Nhat Hanh had to face violent actions of communist governments, but they neither developed hatred toward the governments nor aversion towards communism as such. Dalai Lama, as his thought matured, held that Buddhism and Marxism can be complementary. As he said, Buddhism can take many points from Marxist, socialist and democratic system. Similarly, those systems can benefit from many points in Buddhist theory, especially in terms of socially beneficial attitudes. Thich Nhat Hanh led a peace movement in Vietnam. His movement was based on Buddhist principles. It refused to side with either capitalism or communism. At a more constructive level, Hanh assimilated Buddhist community life with a communist way of life. There he referred to rules that the Buddhist community follows, such as sharing knowledge, reconciliation and holding common property. This assimilation between Buddhist Sangha life and communistic way of life was anticipated by Dr. Ambedkar in his essay Buddha or Karl Marx. In this essay, Ambedkar discusses what he calls the original creed of Karl Marx and what survives of that creed. According to Ambedkar, what survives of the original creed of Marx consists of 4 points. Number 1, the function of philosophy is to reconstruct the world and not to explain the origin of the world. Number 2, there is a conflict of interest between class and class. Number 3, private ownership of property brings power to one class and sorrow to the other through exploitation. And number 4, in a good society, private property should be abolished. In his reconstruction of Buddhism, Ambedkar shows how all these 4 points are already present in Buddhism. The Buddha, according to him, exhibited an ideal form of social life through the establishment of the Sangha, in which the members possess the bare minimum private belongings. One of the pertinent questions Ambedkar poses in the Buddha and his Dhamma is, could the Buddha answer Karl Marx? Ambedkar gives an affirmative answer to the question in his essay Buddha or Karl Marx. There he claims that a part of the creed of the Buddha was the view that private ownership of property brings power to one class and sorrow to another, and that it is necessary for the good society that this sorrow be removed by removing its cause. He also finds this conviction in Marx. Ambedkar's fascination for Marx was because of latter's emphasis on the ideal of classless society based on equality principle. But Ambedkar wanted that the equality principle should be counterbalanced by the other 2 principles, namely liberty and fraternity. This was possible in a democratic setup, where the democracy was not just political, but also social. Ambedkar probably believed that Buddhism promotes a social structure in which such a balance between the 3 principles, liberty, equality and fraternity, is established. It was in this sense that the Buddha answers Karl Marx according to Ambedkar. According to Ambedkar, Buddhism departs from Marxism mainly on the question of the means to be employed for bringing about the ideal society. Like John Dewey, the Buddha of Ambedkar accepts the principle that the end determines the means, whereas Marx does not accept it. While Thich Nhat Hanh and Ambedkar, Buddhadasa Bhikkhu also tried to find a way between capitalism and communism. Buddhadasa calls his ideology Dhammik socialism and distinguishes it from both liberal capitalism and communism. Both the latter ideologies are adhammik according to Buddhadasa. Liberal capitalism is adhammik because of extreme individualism, and communism too falls in the same category because of the brutality rooted in authoritarianism. It is possible that the criticism of communism made by many engaged Buddhists was at least partly due to their misinterpretation of Marxism, guided by the way it was put into practice in Russia. It seems, however, that even if we accept a democratic interpretation of Marxism, some differences between Marxism and Buddhism will remain. They will remain untouched. For instance, though mental or cultural elements have a role to play in Marxian theory, primacy is given to the material or economic conditions, whereas the Buddha gave primacy to the mental. In his reconstruction of Buddhism, Ambedkar gave a materialistic explanation of the origination of consciousness, but he retained the primacy of the mental in the context of individual and social life. As he says, once consciousness arises, man becomes a sentient being. Consciousness is therefore the chief thing in man's life. However, in spite of such differences, the main point in this context is that opposition to capitalism and closeness to Marx, or finding a socialist way between capitalism and Marxism, was a common concern of Ambedkar and many other engaged Buddhist leaders. Thank you.